All right, everybody, welcome back. We got more tight ends to look at here, and now we're on to day three, guys. These are a collection of players that are currently projected to go sometime in day three. Not to say they all will, but that's how we're going to group them for the moment. Okay, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. We've already kind of introduced the general concept. Terrance Ferguson's our first guy. This is probably the cream of the crop for the day three selections. This guy has a decent chance of being a top 3 round pick. Or I guess this year it would be a top 102 pick because that's how many picks there are in the first 3 rounds. Oregon, 22, good size, 6'5", 247, arms almost 33 inches. He was like the only tight end that really tested well. Good, respectable 40, great 10-yard split, big vert, almost 40 inches on the vert, over a 10-foot broad, really good testing numbers, so he's a good athlete in a way that the other tight ends in this class either didn't test or did not show when they tested. You can see a lot of the big boards actually have him going in round 3. CBS has him in round 4, and the database has him in round 4. So that's kind of interesting. The bigger, more high-profile big boards push him up, and then the smaller big boards are dragging him down. So that's why I say this guy really could be a top 102 pick, a top our first 3 rounds pick. Over the last 2 years, got about 1,000 yards receiving, 85 catches, very efficient as a target, 9 touchdowns. Overall, just been a good, solid producer for Oregon. He does have the ability to threaten downfield. I do think he's a vertical threat. He can accelerate up to his top speed in a hurry, as he showed at his testing. He should be able to be a good blocker in the NFL based on how big he is and how his frame is set up. I think he should be a good blocker. He's got good ball skills. He's good at finding the ball in the air and setting up to catch it. He's got 3 seasons actually at Oregon of pretty good production, and he's got a very nice big catch radius. So you put the ball off target on him, he's going to find a way to go get it. Now, his actual blocking is actually pretty bad, and it seems to be a matter of desire and want. He doesn't seem like he has the tenacity to be a great run blocker. So that is something that a coach is going to have to bring out of him because so far we haven't seen it. The route running is occasionally a little bit clumsy. I feel like sometimes he gets a little out of balance and he ends up not looking very clean when running a route. He doesn't really have anything to offer yak-wise. He's going to catch the ball and then he's going to go down for the most part. Generally speaking, I think you could call him you could say his toughness and physicality has been questioned by a lot of people, and he's going to have to show that he can move past that. And of course, when you're playing in that Oregon offense, your job is just a little bit easier than it typically would be, right? When you're a receiver in that Oregon offense, the way they play, your job is much, much easier than a tight end that has to play in a more pro-style offense. You always have to ask, how are you going to transition to the pro game? So there is a softness to him that is frustrating. I do think the upside is here, though. I think he can get better. I think he can get cleaner. I think he can figure this stuff out. I think that his athleticism alone makes him have a pretty decent floor here. But man, this could be really, really good if you can get a little bit of toughness out of him. So I'd go late 3rd round. That's a little bit higher than the aggregate. It's about where a lot of the big boards have him. I think the potential here is significant. So I'd go late 3rd round. I would take him before we get to day 3 personally. But you've got a little bit of work to do to bring out the best in him. All right, second guy we're going to take a look at here, Mitchell Evans of Notre Dame. Notre Dame Fighting Irish, 22 years old, big, 6'5", 258. 258's big for a modern tight end, by the way. Arm length is decent. Little bit on the shorter side, I guess, but for this part of the draft, that's about what you would expect. Testing was mixed. His 10-yard split was excellent. 40-yard dash was meh. Vert and broad were disappointing, especially the vert. The 20-yard shuttle was bad. He's not a tester, I don't think. I think that's what we have to conclude at this point. The testing numbers are not going to show what he can be good at. Big boards mostly have him in the late 4th, early 5th. Walter Football has him in the 3rd. They're the outlier. Aggregate has him in the late-ish 4th. 2 years of decent production at Notre Dame, but if you look at these numbers, as you can see, receiving is not really his calling card. He's got 72 catches over the last 2 seasons. So that's not necessarily the big draw. There's something more going on here. Mitchell Evans should be a Will Dissly type in the NFL. He's a good blocker. He wants to block. He's willing to block. He's got the body type and frame and strength to block. This guy's a very good blocker for somebody coming out of college. And he combines that with passable pass catching ability. And basically, yeah, Will Dissly is kind of the comp here. I think NFL.com even had that as the comp. Mitchell Evans is going to be a Will Dissly. Good at playing through physical defenders, good at playing through contact, good at working through traffic. He's got good hands. He's got a good catch radius because he gives effort. I know he doesn't have very long arms and he's not a super athlete, but his effort gives him a workable catch radius. He got injured. He had a significant injury in 2023, and he came back and had a good 2024, which was really good to see. Reminded people that he's still a valuable commodity, and he's a pretty good route runner as well, overall. So Mitchell Evans brings a lot good to the table. Now, the downsides, struggles to beat press, not really good against press. He's a good blocker, but I do think there's some technique stuff that is going to have to get cleaned up in the pros. I think he'll do it because he likes blocking, and he's already good at it. Why not take the extra steps to become great at it? He's had 2 significant injuries in college already, so injuries are a problem for him. So I guess he really is the next Will Dissly. Remember, Dissly had a ton of problems with injuries his first couple years in the league. And he's not really a yak guy. He's a guy who will catch the ball and then just kind of go down. He'll move the chains and not a ton else, but look, he's the well-rounded guy, right? You're not going to expect him to be some great yak guy. So I actually like this a lot. I like this probably more than the average. I think that he's got the upside to be a great blocker, and I do think that he does add positive value as a pass catcher as well. I just don't think it's on the level of some of the better pass catchers out there. I think we all know how this works at this point. He'll be a chain mover at the next level. As long as you understand what he is, I think he's going to be a valued piece of any team. Once we get past the top 100, I'm taking a look, and that includes even at the very tail end of the 3rd. I'm not even angry about that. Realistically, we're talking probably the 4th round, but Mitchell Evans, I think there's something pretty good there. One more guy for this video, and then we're done for today with draft stuff. More tight ends tomorrow. Remember, Bleacher Report tonight, but Jackson Hawes is next up here. Georgia Tech. Couldn't find his age. 6'4.5", 253, 32 and an 1/8 inch arms. And I just realized I forgot to put the percentiles on the height, weight, arm length, and hand size. So my apologies for that. I just realized that I've been doing it for everyone else. But anyway, the testing was very mixed. He's slow, but he's actually quick to accelerate. 1.56 10-yard split is actually very good for a tight end. The vert was workable, the broad was good, and the 20-yard shuttle was bad, and the bench press was actually shockingly bad. So mixed bag testing, and of the big boards that have them, 2 of them have them in like the 5th, and 1 has them in the 7th. The aggregate has him in the 5th, which is about what I would expect. Only has 1 year of real production. He was in the Ivy League before 2024, and when he was at the Ivy League, I couldn't even find his numbers, but they're not that important to us, right? We care about what he did at Georgia Tech. 16 catches on 20 targets. Not a lot, right? Well, Jackson Hawes is a pure blocking tight end. He is a true blue inline tight end. Not there to catch passes. He's there to block. He is probably the best blocking tight end in the class. I would say at least one of the best, but probably the best. And that's what he does. That's his thing. That's what he brings to the table. He was a good blocker at his Ivy League school. Maybe it was Yale. I can't remember for sure. and he continued to be good at Georgia Tech. The upgrade in competition did not take him out. His understanding of things like hand placement and leverage is already very advanced. So he's ready to go. Day one, he should be a good blocking tight end. And he can also block on the move. He's also good at blocking while moving in space and laying blocks at the second level and third level. Now, there's not a lot to say about him as a pass catcher. He's not a good route runner. He's not a good athlete. He just isn't going to give you much in that area. It's actually a very simple evaluation for Hawes. He is a one-dimensional blocker, and you know what? The league is a little bit short on these guys right now. This league is full of tight ends that don't block. So having a tight end that does nothing but block cannot be a bad thing. And, I mean, he's got 1 year of meaningful college reps. That's not our favorite. We would have preferred maybe one more good year at a school like a Georgia Tech, but I like what I see here, honestly. He's very simple, very straightforward. There isn't a lot to say here with Jackson Hawes, but what there is to say about him is enough to make me feel like he belongs in the NFL, and as long as you keep him in his lane, he's gonna be good. So late fourth round or early fifth round, I think that's about right. I can't go too crazy with this because at the end of the day, when you're only offering blocking as a tight end, there is a ceiling, but I will take the low ceiling because I know I'm getting something that isn't easy to find. All right. See you guys later. Go Hawks. Bleacher Report tonight. Probably another video between now and then. Maybe. We'll see. But yeah, everyone have a good rest of your day and go Hawks. Let me know what you think down below.